There was a blank look on her face. She said,
"Really? When did that happen?"
I thought to myself, does she really not remember? I knew her memory problem was the reason behind this. Hey everyone, I'm Jake. But my story doesn't begin here. It begins when I was a 5-year-old kid. I was born into a rich family. I had all the luxuries of this world. Good clothes, good food, good cars, everything that a kid could ask for. Except for love. My mother had passed away while giving birth, and that's why my father was the one who raised me. He was a rich business tycoon who would work in the morning and sleep very late at night. He rarely had any time for me. One day, on Halloween, I dressed as Batman. I knocked on his door and sweetly said, "Trick or treat!" He was working on his laptop. Instead of giving me candies as other fathers would, he shouted, "You fool! Haven't I told you to not disturb me when I'm working?" He threw his laptop toward me in a fit of rage. The next morning, I woke up with my butler and a doctor next to me. As for my father, he had already left for London for a business meeting. He didn't care whatever condition I found myself to be in. This incident left a deep scar on me. As I grew up, I started running away from people and relationships. I thought I didn't deserve to be loved. I thought I was always destined to be alone. But this changed on my 16th birthday. That was the day I first saw Candace. I was sitting in a corner in the class and solving Sudoku puzzles. I hadn't told anyone it was my birthday, as I didn't want to be the center of attention. Suddenly, an extremely pretty girl walked into the class. The teacher introduced her. "Hello, students. Say hi to Candace. She's from Texas. Her parents have been transferred to California. That's why she'll be a part of our class now." The teacher then asked Candace where she wanted to sit. There was an empty desk next to me. Candace looked me in the eye, smiled, and pointed toward that desk. When she came close to me, my heart almost skipped a beat. I wanted to tell her that very moment that she was the prettiest girl I had ever seen. But unfortunately, I didn't have the courage to do so. That's when the school bell rang and we all started leaving for home. While I was walking toward my car, I saw a pink Lamborghini parked on my way. A driver was sitting inside it. Suddenly, someone rolled down the back window. It was Candace. She said, "Hi." I waved back shyly. She came out of the car and said, "I'm Candace." I said, "I'm Jake. Welcome to our school." "Thanks, Jake," she said. "By the way, you know why I chose a seat next to you?" I shook my head negatively. She came close to me and said, "Even I love solving Sudoku puzzles. I think the people who solve them are really smart. Just like I think you are." I was flattered. I said, "Thanks a lot." She replied, "You're welcome. And also, happy birthday." I asked her, "How do you know?" She said, "I stalked you on Facebook right after the class." I felt really flattered. Here was perhaps the prettiest girl in my school, and she was stalking me. We quickly exchanged each other's numbers. Before leaving, she said goodbye and gave me a tight hug. After that, her driver fired up the engines of the Lambo and she left. That day, when I reached home, my father looked very anxious. Our butler told me that his business was facing a lot of issues. He had taken a huge loan and was finding it hard to repay. But I didn't care about him and his problems. All I could think about was Candace. This was the first time in my life that I was having feelings for someone. First time I didn't feel like running away from love. At night, I opened my WhatsApp and texted her. "Hi, pretty girl." She was online, but for some reason didn't reply to me. I thought she must be busy, and without thinking too much about it, I fell asleep. The next day, we both reached the school at the same time. She came out of her car. I quickly ran towards her and said, "Hi, pretty girl. I'm still waiting for you to reply to my message." She gave me a blank look and said, "Do I know you, mister?" I was a little taken aback by that reply, but I thought she must be joking. I said, "Of course. I'm the boy you stalked on Facebook. Remember?"
"Are you mad?"
she replied.
"I don't even know you, creep!"
She said that and walked away. I was shocked. The girl who was head over heels for me yesterday just called me a creep. That's when I heard a voice behind my back. It was her driver. "Hey, young boy, come here." I went to him. He was smoking a cigarette. "Stay away from that girl," he said. "You will only end up heartbroken." I asked him, "Why do you say that?" He replied, "Candace had an accident when she was 10. Because of that, she suffers from antegrade amnesia. In simple language, it's short-term memory loss. She can't form new memories and forgets everything that happens in an hour. It's like her memory keeps resetting." I couldn't believe what I was hearing. He continued, "Don't blame her. She did like you yesterday, but today she doesn't even remember you." I didn't know how to react to this. After so many years, I had fallen in love, only to realize the other girl is incapable of loving me back. I went back home and read about her condition online. A lot of doctors claim that if the patient met the same person again and again, there was a slight possibility to form new memories and remember that person. I realized I didn't want to give up on Candace. From the next day onwards, I started approaching her every day. Sometimes with balloons, sometimes with chocolates, sometimes with a teddy bear. She would shoo me away every time. But I didn't want to give up. I had decided this is the girl of my dreams, and I will do anything to have her. This kept going on for 3 months. Every time Candace would reject me for some reason or the other. Even when she would talk to me, she would forget what happened in an hour, and I'd have to restart again. One day, when I was going to approach her in the morning, her driver shouted at me, "Don't you understand, young boy? She doesn't remember you! Why are you wasting your time every day?" I stopped that very moment. He was right. Candace and my love story was a lost cause. That's when a sweet voice called my name. "Jake?" I turned around. It was Candace. She had remembered my name. I rushed towards her. I asked, "Do you know me?" She replied,
"Not exactly, but I have a feeling I have known you for months. For some reason, I even know your name."
My persistence had worked. I was slowly making an impression on Candace's memory. An impression that couldn't be forgotten. After that day, slowly and steadily with each passing day, Candace started remembering smaller details about me. If she would forget, I would show her our pictures together to tell her who I am. Soon, I asked her to be my girlfriend. She happily said yes. Because she didn't want to forget we were dating, Candace put my wallpaper on her phone with the caption, "Boyfriend." Dating Candace came with its own perks. One day, when we were at her home, we kissed each other goodnight and went off to sleep. In about 5 minutes, her memory reset. She came close to me and whispered in my ear,
"Hey, Jake, why don't you kiss me these days? Seems like ages since I've kissed you."
Of course, I didn't complain about it. Soon, I started bringing Candace to my home. But when my father got to know that she was rich and had problems with her memory, he hatched an evil plan. A plan to bankrupt Candace and pay off his debts. One day, I had to go to Florida to visit my friend. Before leaving, my dad asked for Candace's address. I felt something was fishy, but I gave it to him. While I was gone, my father went to Candace's home. He told her, "Jake is in a lot of trouble. He's been kidnapped. The kidnappers are asking for $1 million. I don't have that kind of money. Can you please help?" Candace got really worried. Being the kind soul she is, she gave my father a briefcase full of $1 million immediately. But my father didn't stop here. He went to Candace again and told her the same story after an hour. As her memory had reset, she gave the money again. He did this for 12 hours and managed to take $12 million from her. When I got back home, I found my father really happy. He was dancing and jumping. He looked at me and said, "Your girlfriend is such a fool. My business is saved because of her stupidity." I didn't know what he was talking about. He told me, "I have paid all my debts. I'm such a happy man today. Such a happy man!" That's when police entered our home. They told my father, "Sir, you are under arrest." My father asked, "What have I done?" The police told him, "You have repaid debts in fake currency notes. That is why you are being arrested for forgery and cheating your client." My dad was shocked, but I knew exactly what had happened. When my dad had asked for Candace's address, I had an idea that he had eyes on her money. That's why, before leaving, I hid all of her money inside her Almira and replaced it with fake currency notes. The money Candace gave my dad had no value. The police pushed my dad into their car and took him away. I laughed along with Candace as he kept on begging and crying.